All right. Love that music. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for that lead in. Bucket of balls. Thank you, folks, for joining us. My name is Jeff Deal. Welcome to Fantasy Golf TV. No sidekick today. We're in a holiday week, so people are running around doing their things with their families, and we appreciate when Gene sits in and when Brian, but you got me alone today. So we got a lot to cover. Fantasy golf land, fantasy golf gamers out there. I got my butt kicked last week. Actually, I didn't do too bad. I slipped 2 points in our standings in our league, but I'm in a couple of leagues. The one league, I slipped 2 points. I'm in ninth place currently, but we do start a full the end of the season. It's 12 more weeks, and then that's it. This one league we're in will be over, culminating with that tour championship. But the winter session is over, and then that spring session just ended with the Travelers Championship. We'll be moving to the Greenbrier Classic. We'll be reviewing some of that over at the Old White TPC course in Sulphur Springs. So it's always a great event. The players get pampered and treated like kings. So a lot of the tour players, a lot of the top players play in that. Tiger's playing in that this week. So we're going to look at that, and then we're going to look at a top 10 list, my top 10 list for the Greenbrier. But I always like to look back before we can move forward. It's been a busy week for me. I had a lot of family in town, so I didn't actually watch, and I apologize, folks, but I didn't watch 4 days of golf. In fact, I missed Sunday's round. I did DVR a few of the important aspects of it, but congratulations to Bubba Watson for his win in the playoff against Paul Casey, who's kind of getting into form for getting ready for the Open Championship. He's going to be a good pick this week at the Greenbrier. Travels was a good event, though. I think a lot of the players got back to original golf. Scored a lot of birdies, and I think it was definitely a contrast from Chambers Bay 2 weeks ago, and the players were happy about that. The Greenbrier coming up, it's a great event. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder, Twitter at Fantasy Golf TV. You can contact us through Twitter at Fantasy Golf TV, Facebook.com/Fantasy Golf TV, as well as go on thegolfdirector.com and check us out. You can do some live streaming. You can check us out on demand. But moving to Virginia, Sulphur Springs. How'd you do this week anyway, Jeff, behind the glass?
Man, I had a chance to do really good, but I thought I had moved Bubba. I had Bubba on the bench, and then I saw he got off to a good start, and I've been kind of discombobulated doing other things. I went in and reset my team and didn't go back and check it. You know, I'm not really on top of it like I was, and I had not made the move.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up with a measly 134 points this week.
Which, in a normal week, it's actually not that bad. Man. But a lot of guys had
I left a lot on the table, though.
I mean, I dropped 2 spots. I had 180 points.
Really? I had on the bench, I had some points. I left my points on the bench,
right,
which we talk about on your show all the time.
We do.
Picking the player is one thing, playing them at the right time is another.
The winner this week had 212 points. Chris Vest, who and I have to double check because I
had 212 points once.
He had a very good week. Like you said, I did not start. I started Harris as my A player with Bubba on the bench. Moved him in after round 2. I'm glad I kept him there because I almost moved him out. But Chris Vesta, and hopefully, Chris, you don't mind me mentioning your name. He won that weekly performance with 212 points. He did very well. And what really kicks me in the butt is he did it without his C players. His C players missed the cut. So go figure. The guy just killed it. So
yeah, I the good thing was I did have Snedeker playing, which was decent. Brandon Grace let me down, and
as me,
yeah. And I the switch. I had Sergio starting instead of Bubba.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had. I thought Billy Horschel would do better. I started him and then I benched him. He didn't do very well. And Brandon Grace as well. Kevin Na had on a bench player. I'm reeling a little bit. I lost session 2, or our summer session. We're moving into, and I apologize, we're moving into the summer session now with the Greenbrier Classic at the old white TPC course. A par 70 layout. It stretches only about 7,200 yards. It's a great track. It's another great track to score on. Players like to come here because they get pampered. It's kind of weird. It features a par 3 finishing hole, 175 yards. The first 3, this is the 6th year of this event. The first 3 winners of the tournament birdied this final hole. Stuart Appleby, I don't know if you guys remember the first year of the event in 2010. He birdied it to shoot 59, one of only 5 59s on the PGA Tour in their history. So he played real well, who, by the way, has been injured. And I was going to go over an injury report, but nothing really to report. But he's been injured. He's back this week, but he's back at the Web.com Tour. He has lost status on the PGA Tour. So when you look at the past champions for this event, don't look as far as Stuart Appleby because he's not playing. Scott Stallings, Ted Potter Jr. Ted Potter Jr. is on the injury list. He's not playing, but he's a past champion. They both birdied the final hole. I believe they both had to get into playoffs, if I remember right, and then they wound up surviving in that playoff. And then last year, Cabrera won. He did not birdie the last hole, but I think that that course it lends itself well to birdies. So I think it's really hard to kind of handicap the players. You gotta, if you want to do your history in picking your team, what you want to look for is check your stats. Check your stats on easy courses, and look at those guys. You know, this reminds me of almost like a Web.com future tournament. I mean, it's if you look at those past Scott Stallings and Ted Potter Jr. and Stuart Appleby played on the Web.com, and all these guys became champions at this course. So if you're picking your team, and I'll go over some of my picks later on in the show, but I think it lends itself well to look at some of those guys that have graduated and are looking to get their first win.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that. So the weather, I just touch on the weather a little bit. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. Possible some wind on Saturday. It could be a factor over the weekend. Possible showers, typical south weather in terms of thunder showers and tapering off by Sunday. But they are calling for some wind for Saturday's round. So a couple of things, talk about past champions of this event. Scott Stallings, Bill Haas, another Web.com player, Ted Potter, Troy Kelly, Jimmy Walker, Johnson Wagner, George McNeil, who came in second last year. I like him, for just to let you know, he's my sleeper this week. He's going to be on my team. But in looking at the golf course, it's really kind of stats. Throw out regular stats. Look at guys who play well on easy courses. They love to go low. Obviously, with Appleby's 59, that's a good indication of how low you can go. Scott Stallings went deep when he played and won. So look for that. I like to say, like I said, the Web.com, they call that tour the wedged dot putt. It's because they do. They can bomb it. They don't play very long courses. They hit a wedge in there and they make their putts, and they go low. On the Web.com, I mean, to graduate on the PGA Tour, you better be shooting 64, 65, 66s consistently. And those guys can do it. So it's that graduation effect of winning their first event. And I like a lot of the Web.com Tour graduates this year for this event. So look for those guys, George McNeil's, and I'm really appreciative of some of those guys. Although the veterans too, Angel Cabrera, there's a couple of weeks left for guys to get into the Open Championship. The Open Championship's coming up. I know 5 guys winning. Got that status for the Open Championship, just doing well in the Travels this past weekend. So I think it's important that you do your research, you look at all that. Getting to our league here, we're just getting into this is our 25th week of our league here, with a bunch of people in it. And the Greenbrier Classic starts, so I've got to write some checks for people over the last couple of sessions, but I'm looking at some of the A players right now, and there's not a lot of them. Bubba's listed as he's playing, and I appreciate that he's going to play still. He hasn't bowed out. Normally champions from the week before will.
But he lives there, right?
He does. He does. A lot of guys. Webb Simpson. It's kind of his home course a little bit. He's not his home course. He's a North Carolina boy, but J.B. Holmes plays well there. Bill Haas always plays well there. And Steve Stricker. Steve Stricker is going to be on my team. He doesn't play much anymore, but when he plays, he's usually top 10.
I got Stricker on my team.
Yeah, he's gonna get you points this week. Yeah. So, and then Angel Cabrera, who is the past champion. So, and then to round out the A players, who's that last guy on the list? And if you look at the tournament, look at all the way on the right on our league, if you have it up. The tournament points, average tournament points, this guy gets you, like Bubba's listed as, he gets you average of 43.88. And then the last guy in the A list is Tiger Woods. He'll get you 13.33. So I'm curious. I'm not giving up on the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I put him on my team in the Open, and he failed. I just don't know where I'm going with this guy yet.
Yeah, I'm not playing him. But when it comes, I haven't given up on him. I'm not one of those people that says he's done, because I know there's loads of talent in there, and if he gets his head right, he should be able to harness it.
I put something on Facebook the other day. I think I said it to Brian last week. Just hit a million balls, driver off the deck. He'll cover the ball. He'll just kind of get it back a little bit, but it's good. I appreciate a guy like Jordan Spieth. The guy's, he's just playing awesome. He's winning everything in sight. He's going to play the John Deere, which he doesn't have to play anymore, but he keeps playing, and I think that's where Tiger's got to go. Everybody's saying it, but I can't stress that enough. There's a guy who doesn't play anymore, and who goes out and can shoot anywhere from 72 to 85 on a heartbeat. Okay, top 10 list. My top 10 list for this week, the Greenbrier Classic, which again caters to players. You get pampered, man. I mean, it's crazy. Their families get pampered. Everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about a thing.
What a beautiful place, too.
It's
man.
Gorgeous. It really is. So my number one player is Webb Simpson. I really like him this week. He's been playing well, and then he kind of falls off a little bit. He's got 3 top 10s on the last 4 starts at the Greenbrier. He ranks 8th in strokes gained, so tee to green and all around. So I really like Webb Simpson. Bubba, obviously the Travelers champion, he loves it at Greenbrier. He plays so well there. I'm running out of spots. I only have like 4 or 5 times I can use him this year, and we still have 12 weeks to go, 2 majors. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put him on my team. I'd like to always finish or start off a session strong to get up to that leaderboard, but I know he's gunning for some of those majors, and I want to save him for that. Number 3 on my list is Kevin Kisner.
I have Kisner on my team.
You do?
I absolutely do.
That's
cool,
great.
Man. That's cool.
Yeah, and listen, ignore his 0-3 slate since he's played at the Greenbrier. Since then, he's second at Harbortown. He's 7 for 7 with 5 top 12 finishes, and he's just playing really well right now.
Well, HR3, who folks, if you're listening, you don't know that name, Hugh Rory III, who's a former tour player who does some shows here with us, has been telling me every week, just keep your eye on this guy.
No doubt.
He's going to win. This guy's got it.
Yep. There's another guy that's really close, and I don't know if Hugh's talked to about this guy, is Colt Knost. He's another guy he's really close.
Right there,
and I actually like him for this venue. He's played well in the past, and in fact, I don't know if he's on a list of past runner-ups or something, but I remember reading something about it with him, and I like him. I got to figure out where we're going to put him, if I can put him on my bench, but I like Colt Knost. Those web.com players that have graduated, they're about to break through. This is one of those times. This is one of those tournaments that they can do it. Number 4 in my top 10 is Bill Haas. He's played well at the event. 3 top 10s and another 5 top 25s in his last 15 starts this year. So when he plays very well. He's perfect in 4 starts here at the Greenbrier. So and he had a playoff loss in 2011. So he likes the venue. But they all like the venue.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it just you bring your family because it's that holiday weekend. They have a lot of things set up for their families, and it's just a great spot for their families, and everything's taken care of. They can play golf, concentrate, and then go hang out with their families afterwards. And another guy, I had him on my bench at the Open at Chambers Bay. I had him on my bench this past week. Kevin Na. He's close. He played well early in the year, then he kind of slacked off. I'm not going to give up on him yet.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where it's between his ears.
Yeah.
He's got – there's so much freaking talent there that it's unbelievable.
I agree.
But occasionally he'll just go nuts or something.
I want to check something because I printed out the tee times. And it does it's important about who you're playing with, and we talk about that often. So I'm curious who Kevin Na is playing with. Remember, slow players, fast players. We had this discussion in the past. It gets in your head about who you're playing with. So some of the feature, I highlighted some of the feature pairings. I said earlier in the year, back in our earlier session, folks, Will McKenzie, I really like him. He's tall, lanky. He can hit the ball a mile, but I'm curious what happened to him. But he's playing with Tony Finau and Patrick Rogers. I picked Patrick Rogers. They're going off on hole number 10 at 7:30 in the morning. I like the earlier tee time, so I'm liking that. And then George McNeil and Kevin Kistner, they're going off at 7:40 on number 10. They're playing with Sang Moon Bay. A good solid pairing there. I like that. One pairings I really like, and I'm liking J.B. Holmes on my team too. He's in the A list for our league. He's going off on number 10. He's playing at 8 in the morning, so 7:50. So he's playing with Brendan Todd and D.A. Points, who just came off the injured list and got exemption here in this tournament. So and he usually plays well in that. So I like that pairings for JB to play well. I think him and D.A. are pretty good friends, and that's kind of important. So for D.A. as well as for JB. And then feature pairings. One of my favorites is 8 a.m. going off number 10. Webb Simpson, Luis Oosthuizen, and Paul Casey. Those 3 guys.
Yeah, man, they're good. That's great.
That is really good pairing right there. Personally, as a tournament director, I would have kind of spread those guys out, because that's going to be a crowd going around the golf course watching these guys because they're all playing well. Paul just getting lost in the playoff last weekend. So I like that pairings. Tiger Woods is playing with Steve Stricker. I think that's going to help Tiger a little bit. Steve is very stoic. I don't think he takes crap from anybody.
Yeah.
Where don't be throwing clubs when I'm around type thing.
Yeah.
So Tiger's got to keep things in check a little bit. And I'm kind of liking that pairings too. So a couple of featured pairings there. To round out my top 10, I have Pat Perez. There's a guy who I've been watching him I do a lot of research for certain players, and I look at their own websites, I look at their own Facebook pages, see what they're doing, if they're going out at night partying. It looks like Pat Perez he was earlier when he were in Hawaii in the West Coast swing, and he was out, man. I watched his Facebook page. I wouldn't put him on my team because, man, he was out partying at night. I mean, you can't do that on the PGA Tour. You got to be.
You heard it right here from the Guru guys. He's checking your Facebook page.
Well, listen, man, I just want to get points. I could care less who you are.
Yeah.
But no, but he's reeled it in a little bit. I noticed that he's not going out getting crazy at night anymore. He's in fact, I don't see him on Facebook much anymore. So and Twitter, so that's pretty good. So I like Pat Perez. I put him on my top 10 list, and he's really been non-existent. He's played fairly well, but I put Brendan Todd at number 8, but George McNeil is a guy I think I might even start that first day.
Really?
I really do. I something about this guy. I mean, he's capped an emotional day. He shot a career low 61 in the finals here last year. He tied for 17th in 2013. He's had 4 top 20s in the last 2 months. He's playing really well. I mean, I just think he's about to break through. This is one of those tournaments that I really believe those web.com graduates are going to break through. So I like him this week. George McNeil. That's my call it a sleeper, whatever. I like that. But and then I rounded my top 10 out with Graham Dillette. Graham Dillette, he's coming around. He just got into the Open Championship. He just qualified for the Open, so he might slack off a little bit. He had a disappointing Sunday at the Travelers, but still connected 4 red numbers to place 4th, which is good. He had his 3rd straight top 30, and he's tied for 12th in the Greenbrier a couple of years ago. So I really like Graham Dillette as well. So all right, so we're already over our allotted time. Jeff, give me one guy on your team that you really like behind the glass over there for your team.
Well, I was just looking here and making some adjustments.
Adjustments, I love it.
Yeah, I made some adjustments after listening to you, man. And I've got somebody on my team that you didn't mention and nobody's mentioned in a long time, and I have no really good reason for picking him. I have Sang-Moon Bae.
Yeah, you know what? I
like the guy, man.
I
like
so do
his
I.
story. I like every.
So do I. I really like his story. I think it's good. And I remember a few weeks ago, well, probably a month ago, I was putting him on my team, and he wasn't coming through for me.
Yep.
So I like to pick.
The dude can play
though.
I picked him. He's on my team. That's one that you might not expect.
Well, folks, listen. Hopefully, I helped you a little bit. I didn't give you much information, but I will tell you, George McNeil I like, and there's another guy, Patrick Rogers. There's 2 sleepers there that I like, and somebody I haven't mentioned, Nick Watney. He loves the event. He loves this venue. I think there's one guy. And I'm going to ride that bandwagon with Paul Casey. I'm actually going to start him as one of my my B and C players. I really like him.
I got another guy that I've been paying attention to that I really like a lot, too, and I just now added him to my team. He wasn't on there, but you mentioned him, and it made me think, too. I like Tony Finau, man.
Yeah.
I think that kid has just got a load of talent. He hits a ball a ton. He's just got to get settled in and get into the groove. But
I agree.
I think there's a lot of wins in that guy's future.
I totally agree. In fact, did I put him on my team? I didn't. But
he's
this
in
morning,
that C group, man, and it's packed.
It is
you
packed.
Got 2 spots to pick, and there's a ton of guys in there.
Right. Yeah. Let me bring up that C group. There's Kevin Na again. Patrick Reed is in there. He averages 37 points a tournament, so not too bad for one guy. Pat Perez is in there as well, 34 points averaging, so he's up there. And right now I have Brendan Todd on my team, but I think I'm going to make that move. And I also picked Keegan Bradley for my C player, but I'm not sure about that. I'm going to kind of throw some balls up in the air and see where they stick.
I had Keegan on, took him off, put him back on again, took him off again.
Yeah,
I'm
a little confused about Keegan.
I'm not seeing any real. There's nothing there that makes me think, hey, he's getting ready to go do it.
Right.
Not like it was not saying that Sang-Moon Bae
but
did either.
Remember, Louis Oosthuizen's in the C group as well.
I know, man,
so
that's a tough one there. There's just not a lot of space in there.
I mean, look what he did at Chambers Bay.
Man,
after that 77, he set records. So I think in fact, right now, folks, there you go. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop Brendan Todd and put in Oosthuizen right now.
I think that's probably a good move.
And that's my team right there. So, folks, I hope I helped you a little bit. Obviously, Jeff behind the glass is doing very well in our league, and you can contact us Twitter at Fantasy Golf TV. You can get a hold of us at facebook.com/fantasygolftv, and then just go to thegolfdirector.com. We're all on there. Many shows here at thegolfdirector.com. So TGD Radio and TV are produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for thegolfdirector.com. When visiting the Golf Director, Be sure to check out our featured golf course pages where you'll find up-to-date information about course conditions, specials, and much more. Especially this time of year, folks, a lot of specials out there. Need help with your next golf vacation? Hashtag Just Call Dave. He's in the back right now. Give him a call, 844-GO-GOLF1. That's 844-464-6531. All of our TGD programming is archived for listening and viewing on demand. To catch up on a show you missed, click on the TGD Radio and TGD TV tabs in the menu at thegolfdirector.com. We're now on over 1 billion devices, folks. That's right, 1 billion devices at iTunes, Audio Realm, TuneIn, YouTube, Ustream, Roku, Blueberry, the Myrtle Beach Golf app, which is a really neat app, so check that out. My name is Jeff Deal. We thank Jeff behind the glass for helping us out. Appreciate it. We thank you all for tuning in. There's more TGD golf news and information, so please stay tuned. 'Cause lions are sin.